The room was dead silent. The air conditioner and the nervous, "We are inside the community center of Oakwood Terrace. He's wearing a three-piece suit that costs more than most people's cars. And for the last 5 years, standing at the other end of the table is David." David looks tired. He's holding a single brown envelope. "Robert, I have told you 1,000 times. You are here to pay your fines, not to give speeches." David didn't sit down. He slowly opened the brown envelope and slid a document across the long wooden table. "David, I'm here to give you an eviction notice." Laughing nervously, "David, you're trying to fine me for parking in my driveway. You don't even have a driveway anymore. I own your house. The predator had just become the prey. We have to go back to the beginning. It is a story that proves that knowledge is more powerful than loud voices. Have you ever had a neighbor who made your life miserable? If the answer is yes, hit that subscribe button right now. And slam that like button if you think bullies deserve to be taught a lesson. Let's meet the villain. But feels cold. The cars are all German imports, but not with their eyes. Robert was a retired SS consultant. Nobody really knew what he consulted on. When he became the HOA president in 2019, you could hear the hum of tapping of a pen on a mahogany table. Sitting at the head of the table is Robert. He is the president of the Homeowners Association. He has ruled this neighborhood like a dictator. He's wearing a simple polo shirt and jeans. Robert slams his gavel down. "David, sit down. You cannot speak during the board's private session. If you say one more word, I will have security remove you." He didn't look scared. It stopped right in front of Robert. "I'm not here to pay a fine." Robert. "Excuse me? Have you lost your mind?"
Read the paper, Robert.
But according to the Dallas County deed records, because as of 9:01 a.m. this morning, in that moment the blood drained from Robert's face. But to understand how a quiet accountant took down the biggest bully in Texas, we are about to unfold a story of financial detective work and ultimate payback. But before we dive into the investigation, I have a quick question for you. Aya Karinya or a Hakind who watched your every move. We are building a community of people who love seeing justice served. Now, Oakwood Terrace is one of those neighborhoods where everything looks perfect. The lawns are manicured with laser precision. It's the kind of place where people smile at you with their teeth. And at the top of the food chain was Robert. But he had money, time, and a desperate need for control. He didn't just enforce the rules, he weaponized them. Robert's favorite weapon was the fine. Left your garage door open for 15 minutes? $50 fine. Did your dog bark twice after 9 p.m.? $75 fine. Did you put your trash can out at 5:02 p.m. instead of 6 p.m.? That's a $100 fine. He walked the streets every evening with a clipboard and a tape measure. He was waiting for you to slip up. He fed on it. And then there was David. David lived in house 405, directly across the street from Robert. David was a forensic accountant. His job was to look at messy financial records and find fraud. He spent his days staring at spreadsheets, finding hidden assets, and exposing embezzlement. He was quiet, patient, and incredibly observant. For years, David just paid the minor fines and moved on. He didn't want drama. He just wanted to come home, drink a beer, and watch the game. But bullies like Robert, they don't know when to stop. They always push one step too far. It was a Saturday morning in July. Texas heat was already rising off the pavement. David had brought his work truck home the night before. It was a Ford F-150. Clean, new, but it had a small magnetic logo on the door that said, "Eagle Eye Accounting Services." David was inside making coffee. He heard a loud mechanical grinding noise outside. He looked out the window and his heart stopped. A tow truck was backing into his driveway. A man was hooking chains onto the bumper of his truck, and standing right next to him, directing the operation, was Robert. David ran outside, barefoot. "David, hey, whoa, what are you doing? Put it down." Narrator. Robert turned around slowly. He adjusted his expensive sunglasses and smirked. Robert. "Good morning, David. You know the rules." Section 4, Paragraph B. No commercial vehicles may be parked in driveways overnight. This is a residential zone, not a truck stop. David. Robert, come on. It's Saturday. I'm moving it into the garage in 5 minutes. Just tell him to drop it. Robert. Turning to the tow driver. Take it away. David watched. Helplessly as his truck, his livelihood, was dragged down the street. The driver didn't care. Robert didn't care. David. You're going to regret this, Robert. This is harassment. Robert. Laughing. Harassment? It's enforcement, David. If you can't afford to follow the rules, Maybe you can't afford to live in Oakwood. Maybe you should move back to the apartments where you belong. That was the sentence. Maybe you can't afford to live here. Robert had just challenged a man who investigated finances for a living. He had insulted his financial status. David paid the $350 towing fee to get his truck back. He drove it home in silence. He was calm, dangerously calm. He parked the truck in the garage. He walked into his home office. He sat down at his computer. Most people would get a lawyer. David didn't need a lawyer. He needed the internet. David knew something that Robert didn't realize. Wealth is often loud, but debt is silent. Robert wore $2,000 suits. He drove a Mercedes. But David had noticed things. Small things. He noticed that Robert's lawn service, which used to come every Tuesday, hadn't been there in a month. He noticed that a section of Robert's roof had storm damage from 3 months ago, and it still wasn't fixed. And he noticed that Robert checked his mailbox religiously every day, snatching the letters out like he was afraid of what was inside. David, in my line of work, we call these red flags. When someone is overcompensating with aggression, they are usually hiding a weakness. David logged into the county clerk's public records database. In the United States, almost everything about property ownership is public record. You just have to know where to look. David searched for 105 Oakwood Drive. The first thing he found was a tax lien. Robert hadn't paid his property taxes in 2 years. That was bad but not fatal. Then David checked the mortgage records. He saw a document titled Notice of Default. Robert hadn't paid his mortgage in 6 months. He owed the bank over $15,000 in missed payments. And then David saw the golden ticket. A document filed just yesterday. Notice of trustee sale. David leaned back in his chair. He couldn't believe it. The man who was towing cars for lowering property values was technically bankrupt. His house was scheduled to be auctioned off on the courthouse steps in exactly 21 days. Robert was putting up a front. He was finding neighbors to feel powerful because, in reality, he was losing everything. David printed the document. He circled the date, August 14th, 10:02 a.m. For the next 3 weeks, David didn't say a word. He waved at Robert. He moved his trash cans on time. He watched Robert scream at the gardener. David went to his own bank. He liquidated some stocks. He pulled out his savings. He got a cashier's check for a very specific amount. He wasn't going to buy a new car. He was going to buy a monster. August 14th, the day of the auction. The Dallas County Courthouse steps were crowded. It was hot. There were professional investors there, guys in shorts and T-shirts who flip houses for a living. They call them sharks. David stood in the back. He wore a baseball cap and sunglasses. He didn't want to be recognized, just in case. The auctioneer began reading the list of properties. Item number 42, 105 Oakwood Drive. Legal description, Lot 4. Block B, opening bid is $300,000. The sharks started bidding. $310,000. $320,000. $325,000. The price was climbing, but David knew the market value. The house was worth $500,000 easily. The bidding slowed down at $380,000. Auctioneer, I have $380,000. Do I hear $385,000? Going once? David raised his hand. David, $400,000. The sharks looked back. Who was this guy? A jump of $20,000 was aggressive. It signaled that he wasn't playing games. The sharks whispered to each other and shook their heads. There wasn't enough profit margin left for them. Auctioneer, $400,000 to the gentleman in the blue cap. Going once? Going twice? Sold. The gavel hit. Bam! David walked up to the clerk. He handed over the cashier's check. He signed the paperwork. At 10:45 a.m. the deed was transferred. David got back in his truck. He looked at the paper in his passenger seat. It was the ownership deed to Robert's house. Technically, he could have gone over there immediately and kicked Robert out. But David wanted to do this by the book. He wanted it to be public. He checked the calendar. The next HOA board meeting was in 2 days. Perfect, David whispered. We are back in the community center. The air's cold. The tension is high. Robert is sitting there looking more arrogant than ever. He has no idea that the house he slept in last night isn't his anymore. He thinks he just had a lucky escape because the bank hadn't called him yet. Robert. All right, let's get this over with. Item number 1. The Landscaping Committee. Reports that the roses in the front entrance are looking wilted. We need to assess a fee to replace them. Item number 2. Parking violations. Robert glared at David. Robert. I see David is here. I assume you're here to complain about your truck again? Let me save you the breath. The answer is no. David. Standing up. Actually, Robert, I'm not here about the truck. I'm here about a bylaws violation. Robert. Sit down, David. We will get to public comments at the end. David. This is urgent, Robert. Section 1, Article 3 of the HOA bylaws. All board members must be current homeowners within the subdivision. Robert. Confused. I know the rules, David. I wrote them. What's your point? David. My point is, you're not a homeowner. The other board members looked at each other. Robert laughed. A dry, nervous laugh. Robert. Is this a joke? I live at 15 Oakwood. Everyone knows that. David. You live there, but you don't own it. David slid the deed across the table. Robert picked it up. His hands started to shake. He read the top line. Warranty deed. He read the owner's name. David last name. The silence in the room was deafening. You could hear a pin drop. Robert. This isn't possible. I was talking to the bank. They gave me more time. David. They foreclosed on Tuesday, Robert. It went to auction. I bought it. David leaned in closer, his voice calm but loud enough for everyone to hear. David. So here is how this is going to work. Since you are not a homeowner, you are immediately removed from the board. You have zero authority here. And secondly, since I'm now your landlord, I am giving you the standard 30-day notice to vacate the property. Robert. Whispering. You bought my house. David. Yes. And Robert? Robert. What? David. Please move your car out of the driveway when you get home. It's my driveway now, and I don't want any unauthorized vehicles on my property, or I'll have it towed. Robert didn't finish the meeting. He stood up, looking like a ghost, and walked out of the room. He didn't scream. He didn't fight. He was completely broken. The news spread through Oakwood Terrace faster than a wildfire. The neighbors threw a block party that weekend. Not officially, but everyone just happened to be outside, drinking wine and smiling. Robert moved out 2 weeks later. He packed his things in the middle of the night. He didn't say goodbye to anyone. David didn't move into the house. He renovated it, fixed the roof, fixed the landscaping, and sold it 6 months later to a nice young couple with a baby. He made a $50,000 profit on the sale. But the real profit wasn't the money. The new HOA board voted to remove the strict parking rules. They allowed people to paint their doors blue. The neighborhood started to feel like a community again. David is still there. He still drives his truck. He still works on his spreadsheets. But now, when he waves at his neighbors, they wave back with a genuine smile. Because they know that the quiet accountant across the street isn't just a neighbor. He's the guardian who took down the king. This story teaches us a valuable lesson. It's okay to have rules. It's okay to want a nice neighborhood. But never ever mistake power for invincibility. Because the person you are stepping on today might be the person holding your mortgage tomorrow. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And click on the video on your screen right now to watch another story about a landlord who tried to scam a lawyer and lived to regret it. I'll see you there.